And welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me and read me well. We are going to do a flight today from Aalesund in Norway to Gardermoen Oslo, Norway. So a domestic flight. We are flying the Norwegian livery, and the flight is, if I'm not mistaken, 413, but we will check with our flight plan later on. I'm standing here at the forward entries, and as you can see, we just finished loading up some catering and preparing for the passengers to board the aircraft. Now actually I did make a recording of the flight here from Oslo because I really enjoy this particular leg. It takes us straight over the highest terrain in Norway, the Norwegian Alps, as I like to call them, and the highest point, Gardermoen, and put you into some interesting approach conditions, especially if you approach runway 06, I believe it is, from over the ocean. Now the runway is quite short and is positioned at the very edge of the North Sea, so you can get some quite interesting weather conditions as well. But the recording was not to be, and now I'm parked here in Aalesund. I need to get back to Gardermoen, which is my home base and actually also very close to where I live. Now, being a very awkward old imaginary gamer or simmer, I like to pretend that I am where my aircraft are. So I do not jump into the sim and fly Paris, London, and then the next day fly around in the US. I start where I left off, and that's the way I get around, and I get some enjoyment out of that. But every man has his own preference. The aircraft I'm flying is the Boeing 737-800, the Seabo mod, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. If not, you will find links in the video description. And I am flying in VR. You can see my right hand here moving it from side to side, and we are using a whole bunch of add-ons and plugins and so on, as Xplane 11 has a tendency to become. This flight will be sort of experimental, even though I have a very powerful rig. I am recording and playing from the same rig, and it puts some strains on the systems which can cause some lag spikes. Let's see if we can't jump outside. There we go. So we might get some lag spikes. Now what I have done is I have uninstalled, there was the weather updating, I have uninstalled the Vivid preset for the sim, and I'm currently running with default Xplane clouds and weather and shaders, or should be at least, and we'll see how that affects the frames and how it affects the sim. For now I really like the overcast. It wasn't quite that good with the preset I was using previously. With presets and tinkering with things, you always have a trade-off for performance, and for me it's about finding the best possible trade-off. I can accept some lag spikes and stuttering because I simply just love flying in VR. There's no going back to screen for me, and I'm sure that most VR flyers would agree with me on that. And I also think that it might be the future within the next, let's say, 10 years, 5 to 10 years. It will be a growing community as it gets better and more accessible to people. And it's an experience that's hard to describe, really. But that's a topic for a whole nother video, because today it's all about flying. We are sitting here at stand, I think it's stand 15 in Aalesund. We are online on Vatsim, the virtual can't remember what virtual air space network, something like that. So we are grouped up with a whole lot of other flyers and simmers, and if we're lucky we'll get some local ATC to further enhance our flying experience. I cannot guarantee you that I will remember to do all procedures as they should be, but I will try to do my best to follow realistic procedures, and I might mess up a step or two. And yeah, so let's see how we get on now. I haven't started up the airplane. It's standing here in cold and dark condition, and I will skip the walk around. I have done a walk around in some previous videos. We're flying the Norwegian livery. You can just make out the registration there, LNDYD, which is a currently active livery flying for Norwegian Airshuttle. The only change that has been done is that the Hans Christian Andersen name has been revoked from this particular aircraft and given to one of the new Dreamliners. So it's currently nameless, which is a pity. The reason I've chosen this is simply because I live in Norway. I lived here in over 10 years, but I am Danish native, so it was a good fit for me. But later on I might jump onto a Scandinavian aircraft. The scenery here, I believe, is from what's it called now? I'm completely blank. TDG. It's a TDG scenery. It's quite nice, quite well made, and nothing to report error-wise on it, I believe. Can be a bit tricky when you have to go to turn around at the end of the runway, but we'll make do. So yeah, let's get on board and start setting up the aircraft. And if you are bored already and just want to see some airtime, the setup I expect it to take around 30 minutes. So let's just actually let's go and double check on our stand number just in case we get ATC. Yeah, it's 15. As predicted, and we are the only ones currently at the airport, and the wind is as predicted from the north east. Yeah, so it will be take off from runway 06 heading in this direction here, where we will climb and then we will cross in southbound towards Oslo. So here we are sitting, ready for our virtual passengers, and yeah, let's get in the cockpit. Let me get position just right. That's not good. Yeah, so I have my legs here, body here, and my arm here. Now I'm stretching my arm just to give you an idea of the virtual cockpit here. Let me start up by closing the door. Boom. Just to block out any noise. We can get the crew going. And we can connect the GPU. And actually I think it's time to remove the ground personnel because they are very loud. So let's use our control widget and drive away, and let's close the doors. Close. Okay, so first of all we need to get some juices flowing through this gal. Let me put my seat back. Whoop. There we go. Sometimes it plays up. And let's just go through here, aligning our S's. There we go. You can come on. You can come on. Let's get some lights. And set off the hydraulic pumps for the walk around. And you can come here. Oops. And you, and you, and you. Okay, I think that was just about it. So let's just do a test. I can mention that failures are enabled, and so are G-forces. That means that if I do something silly, the aircraft will realistically break apart. So I need to be careful. Let's do the stall test. Airspeed, but that doesn't activate for some reason on the SIBO, so we'll trust it works. Let's call it NOB. Okay, check the attend button, fine. Isolation valve is okay. And it's currently 0. Test the lights. All looking good. Also looking very good. Just reset for convenience. Takeoff configuration horn is working, and looking good. Also looking good. And let's do a TCAS test.
Adjust vertical speed. Adjust. Climb. Climb now. Climb. Climb.
Close this
now.
one here.
Climb. Crossing. Climb. Climb. Crossing. Climb. 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 Clear of conflict. Descend. 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 Crossing. Descend. Descend. Crossing. Descend. Descend. Descend now. Descend. Descend now. Increase climb. Increase climb. Increase descent. Increase descent. Maintain vertical speed. Maintain
vertical speed. Crossing.
Maintain. Monitor vertical speed.
Road.
TCAS test. Pass.
It's not been tampered with. Spare bulbs, okay. Check the fuses. Okay, so let's get our flight plan so we can get ourselves some fuel. And oh my god, the flight plan is somewhere else, which means that I will have to get out of my seat and get to my computer and put the flight plan in the correct folder. So if you will just bear with me, I'll put my hand here and I'll be right back. And there we go. Now everything should be in good order. So I'm a little high seated, but it's okay for now. And if we go up one direction, go back, it should be there. We have it. Just need to adjust the goggles. Here we go. So zoom in as the evening sun starts to. So we are North Shuttle 417. We have very few passengers with us. It is a small town, so not big load of passengers coming with us. And we have a zero fuel weight of 47.4. Let's call it at 47.4. We will require around, let's say 6 tons, because we do have some weather, some cumulonimbus, and perhaps even some thunderclouds in Gardermoen. So let's say 6 tons and 47.4. .4, 6 tons, very light today. Okay, so that's that. Then we can get started on programming. We are at NO. Going to Echo, November, Golf, Mike, just Gardermoen, Norwegian, or North Shuttle, sorry, 417 was it? Just making absolutely sure, it would be a stupid mistake to make. 417. If you're in doubt, if you just have the slightest doubt, then it's always better just to double and triple and quadruple check to make sure that everything is correct. So we will depart 06 today. And before we switch page, let's just take a note of our reserves, and let's say that is 2 tons, just to make extra sure because of the weather. GG Romeo 1 Echo. GG Romeo. See, I don't really get why I don't get the Romeo, but that's okay, it is correct. And we'll go to Zulu 313. And to Belgu. And to the Belgu 3 Mike, arrival to 19 right. Mike, route, check for discontinuities, there are none, we activate. So fuel weight in here, reserves we agreed on 2 tons, and a cost index of 30 today, and we will be cruising at 37,000 feet, quite high today, so actually just up and then down. Not much of a cruise actually, due to weather, I suppose. 163.19. Here, and an easy deviation of +8. And outside temperature of 13. Now I do actually live quite close to Gardermoen airport, and we just had some heavy rain showers and some thunderstorms, although quite local and small, and we did have some coming over us. Now I would need the performance app tool here to do our D-rate calculation. I would be quite comfortable with a 22k D-rate, but for sake for good order, let's do a 24k. And our takeoff 5. Very low V speeds. We have a V2 of 134 and dry runway conditions. 134. And D-step of 4.3 units. And for some reason my sim does this the first time I touch my trim button. I do use a side-take yoke, which I have in front of me, and side-take pedals, so I can have something physical to steer with, and it works quite well with the VR. So we have verified the speeds. Okay, we will not choose any approach references just yet. We'll take a look at it as we begin our descent into Gardermoen and watch our weight a bit closely, but shouldn't be too far off, so that's all good. Now we can check our route, and it will be left turn, and this here, as you see, it doesn't look quite right. So what I'll do, I'll fly manually to Alpha Lima 405, and that should put us onto GG. Then we'll start approaching to Gardermoen. Now we might get vectors direct, it depends on the traffic and if we have ATC, but normally you would actually get a direct vectoring from control. As you can see, it quite illogical to do this turn. There's no immediate threats or settlements in here. There is a little bit of terrain, and that's normally why they want you to go around, but you will normally get vectors from here or be vectored around like this. but we will see what will happen. We might get some ATC, who knows. But it all looks very good. So let's skip the planning for now. Put the legs page on the first officer side. Okay, and we can actually start the boarding now. Thank you. Even though we removed the stairs, let's just close the door and imagine that all our passengers have boarded and are sitting there. So, next up is our weather. Oops. Let's get a radio setting.
Echo November Alpha Lima Airport information Bravo 1720 Zulu weather wind 018 at 6 visibility 10,000 sky condition few clouds at 1,600 ceiling 3,400 broken temperature 13 dew.9er QNH 1006 advise on initial contact that you have information Bravo
1006.
Echo November.
And since we don't have any ATC, I'll try to just talk to my imaginary controller. It's good training for if you guys use Vatsim or any other ATC services. Even though if you're offline, just talk to yourselves, and it's good training. So, Aalesund Tower, good evening. North Shuttle 417. Request clearance to Oslo. And then we will report when ready. Normally I would also mention my stand at stand 15 and what my information is, and also they would ask for my departure, or we will be given a departure rather. But for small airports like this, it's a little more chilled. So let's imagine that we have been given our clearance and it matches all the information we have put in, so we can get on with our setup. Okay, so our QNH is set and we need to get some maps up and running. So we are 67 feet, so let's just get our barrel set for MFR rates. Now that's the thing with VR and the SIBO mod, it's quite lively and hard to control. So what I will do, I'll use the VR mouse option, which I have here. And we were at 67, so just a tad higher. You know what, we'll try and do it manually when we're so close. 67, looking good. Okay, dokie. So we have the lights on, and lights on, and we can check our fuel. 6 tons on board. Let's get the fuel pumps going and let's get the APU running. And let's get the air temper on. And we'll go to 37,000. Then when I'm done this flow, I'll go back to the charts. 700 feet for Oslo. Been there so many times, so I don't know how high it is. Okay, all set. We can get the air flowing there. Looks good. Lights are all set. And I would like for the first officer to have a bit more distance, and we will get our charts up here. Departure, it was the GG on Echo, matches what we have. So here we have our departure, and what we basically are going to do is we're going to stay on the heading to get around this rock here. We can actually see it out there. I believe it's the rock we have over here with the tower on it. Could be, no. Let's just have a closer look here. Yeah, we have a rock up. It is the rock over there, so we need to turn around to get around it. So we need to stay on heading 57 runway heading. We'll get up. Should be not many charts for such a small airport, but we will have a runway heading of 64. So let's just put this in here. There we go. 25 degrees, and straight after takeoff we will go to 57. So let's just get this in here, just for good reference, to get us around that rock. Now it is quite bad that I had some errors with the recording out here, so I will do another flight someday from Gardermoen to Aalesund, because it really is an enjoyable flight that I can recommend, and it's quite short, so you can easily fit it in even with a busy schedule. Okay, so let's just read up on the departure as well. Initial climb clearance 6,000, but if you don't have any ATC, I think I'll just bump us straight up to say 25, but we'll leave it there for now. Okay. So, climb onto heading 057, track to flight level 31, turn right, direct to Alpha Lima, forward and left to GG. Okay, so let's just see here. 3,100 feet is our marked height. That is high enough to get us safely around the rock and towards GG. And GG is at 121. We can put that in here as well. So what we need to keep in mind is that this altitude. In case of engine failure after the V1, we will take the problem into the air. We will go on heading 057, then we'll go to altitude of 7,000 feet, and we'll go into a holding pattern and hopefully get some vectors or vector ourselves back to Atbol for approach on runway 06. Max speed 230. And by GG we should be quite high due to terrain. See here, flight level 250. So actually, unless otherwise instructed, I will already clear myself to that level, since I am flying single-handedly. I have my hands full and I do not want any issues. So that's all looking good. That's our departure briefing mostly done. We will just taxi, turning, pushing back, facing west, and go via Delta to the end of runway 06, where we will make a turn and take off. Quite short runway, but plenty. The runway is quite curved and do have some bumps, so on a very bad day you can actually break the aircraft. I haven't done it, but I think I've been close from time to time. So that's all said and done. Now what I would like to do is get my Swift client for the Vatsim up and running. It's here, just so we can have an eye on any potential ATC or anything else happening around us. So nothing new here. Let's just check here. Nope. But hopefully we'll get some company later on. We can put the Vatsim here. Okay. So we have the view on. And sometimes it plays up, but it's okay, we are on the view bus. So we can contact ground, disconnect, remove, better pushback, request pushback.
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go.
Exactly, I will show you where I want to go. I want to go this way. Looks very nice. Okay, and I'll find my button hidden down here somewhere to activate it. I do wish better pushback could be optimated a bit more for VR. Also, it will place me in some awkward position once I go back.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
So I'll just position myself correctly in the cockpit like this. Just looking good. Put the seat back a little. Actually, it's important to be seated correctly, so I feel like I have the yoke a bit too close to me. It's a bit of a strange position, so let me just do some more adjustments. That's better. Oh, actually, a little higher.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Here we go, much better. Need to look straight ahead. So we can do the checklist. Pre-flight, oxygen tested. Navigation transfer displays are normal and auto. Window heat is on. Pressurization mode selector is set to auto. I already checked that. Flight instruments, heading and altimeter is on. Bang on. Parking brake is set. Engine start lever set to cut off. Meanwhile, let's just...
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Before start checklist, flight doors are closed and locked. Fuel pumps, we have 6 tons on board and pumps are on. Windows are locked. We have a V2, V speeds 122, 123, 134. CDO pre-flight completed. Rudder trim is 3 and 0. Takeoff and taxi briefing is completed and anti-collision lights are on. So, Aalesund Tower, North Shuttle 417, request push and start. And we would get a response that push and start, approved, facing west. So, with no further ado, let's get going.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Thank you. Starting number 2, sorry. Starting number 2. You can come on. And we can get some fuel in. Now I am quite curious because the Norwegian terrain flying over it, even though I have Ultra HD terrain mesh disabled, I have HD mesh enabled and some ortho, so it's a grand mixture. Starting number 1. So I am quite curious to see what the FPS will be like. I have turned off the 3J FPS plugin just to test, because I have heard some rumors about it actually ruining the performance for the Oculus Rift S. I can't remember the explanation I was given, but I'll give it a try. And yeah, we'll see what it looks like, if we'll have to do any adjustments before the next flight. We have a starter cutout. Looking stable and good.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Set parking brake. Here we go off.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Full forward, full left, full right, full back, full right rudder, full left rudder, flight controls checked and in working conditions. Set flaps 5. And there we go. Generators on, propede is on, anti-ice off, isolation valve is auto, engine start switches are set to continuous, recall is checked.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the left. We'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
Thank you. Hand signals on the right. Auto brake set to rejected takeoff. Engine start levers is idle detent. Flight controls checked. Ground equipment is clearing as we speak. Before taxi checklist is completed. Aalesund Tower, North Shuttle 417, request taxi. Thank you, bypass pin is confirmed removed. I will take the weather radar, you can take the terrain radar, and we will just do a sweep here on flight directives. Here we go. I will want to get this one down here. And we will get a report back from the ATC on the tower, North Shuttle 417, taxi runway 06 via Delta. So we will start our taxi and we can pop you guys on. And pop it up to about a little less than this. And we will head down to Delta. Now if I was smart, I would be checking the Vatsim online map just to make absolutely sure that we have no traffic incoming, because the fun with the VR is that you can not actually ride on the Unicom, so just have to keep an eye out, because we will be stuck on the runway with no exits once we are on it. But I think we will take our chances, or if not, then hopefully they will reject the landing. So let's just pop on the TCAS. Here we have Delta, and let's pop on all the Christmas lights. It's not dark, so we'll leave this one. We can put you on. And we are cleared and cleared.
Approaching 06.
Have a good flight.
You can actually see the curvature of the runway, and imagine you have some good speed here.
On runway
At this point,
24,
you could actually get some
400 feet remaining.
Some movement if you're not careful. But the terrain we're going over, as I said, the Norwegian Alps, it's a very beautiful flight. Most likely today it will not be, will not see much, but stunning desolate terrain. I would call it Europe's equivalent of Alaska, nonetheless. So I really recommend that you give this route a try, but then arrive from Oslo to Aalesund to get the approach. Now we have a tricky side wind, as you can see. It has been like this all day, but real world traffic has been taking off from 06, so that is what we'll do. It is slightly in favor of 06 as well. So yeah, and we have the flight crew secured. Flight crew, please be seated for departure. Now we can imagine that we will receive a message from the tower that we are cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff, runway 06, North Shuttle 417. Look at this terrain here. You really have to crawl. To be absolutely careful not to break. Then we'll turn around. Just a little more. There we go. There you see the curvature. And that's quite daunting when actually the hardest approach I've done is landing on 06 from over the water. You often get some winds and some tricky wind conditions, even with the active sky. And then you have this small curved runway that really plays tricks on your mind. Just a little more.
On runway 06.
Okay, so let's just assume that we have nobody on approach behind us. Heading 61, let's get some more here. That looks fine, okay. So before takeoff checklist, flaps 5 green light, stabilizer trim is 4.3 units D-stab. That's all ready to go. Transponder is TARA ready to go. Let's start the timer and bunker up to 40%. Slide forward pressure. 40% and set takeoff thrust. Let's get out of here. Light rudder to maintain center line. Indications are normal.
80 knots.
80 knots is checked.
V1
Rotate.
Positive green.
A bit lively in the crosswind here.
400.
A little bit steep angle.
$1,000.
It's checked. Nicely trimmed as well. So now we'll turn to 57. So avoid that big rock ahead of us. Here we go. And here comes the cloud. Just watch the temperature for any de-icing issues. Slightly more. There we go, 57. 56, that's okay. Then it was 3,100, and then we could start our turn. Actually, we should be considering anti-ice by now. The reason I use wing anti-ice is simply because of Xplane has a tendency. Okay, so we can start our turn. Xplane does have a tendency to actually crash your aircraft, basically, if you don't use it. Then we'll go direct to GG. Go flaps 1. Accelerate. And nicely clear of the terrain as well. Do have some vibrations in the aircraft, but that's quite normal. Of course, we're in the clouds, so I guess that's the reason. Put the flight directors on. And Command A. Nice. So I do notice some jittering, and I think it has to do with the 3J FPS not being on. So let's just open up here. We do seem to be out of the cloud, so we can turn off the anti-ice. It's a bit late with the flaps, but that's what happens when you don't have your first officer by your side. And we can release the cabin crew as well. There we go. After takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds on, packs on, so landing gear up and off. Flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist is completed. Now by the looks of it, I don't know if it shows up in the video, but I do have this jittery frame hopping. Oops, standard. So I might need to actually turn on the 3K FPS. And I do blame the clouds. Blame the clouds. So it's quite annoying because the movement is smooth. And looking at the frames, as long as we're above 15, I shouldn't really notice anything. Now we're heading away from the cloud, so it's smoothing out again. 10,000. Okay. Everything is looking good. And we are on our way. And we can clear ourselves to our final cruise level. 37, and we can adjust our heading 125. Boom. Now we are coming up on terrain, but we are well clear, above 10,000 feet. So, but I do imagine that we won't be able to really see it. So there we go. Takeoff is completed. Now it's just climbing up to our cruise, and I imagine that our top of climb, and yeah, you can see the top of climb and top of descent. It's going to be just up and down. And that means that we should start preparing our arrival to Gardermoen. As time is short. What we can do actually is release the cabin crew. Oh, no, sorry, the passengers, and we can give them a nice welcome message. And we have our arrival was the Belco 3 mic, which is here. 419 right. I forgot the ATC. It's hard to be ATCing yourself. Remember that. Real ATC will remind you. You can just make out the peaks down here. I actually do like the full cloud pack, but it is. Yeah, look at the FPS. For some reason, the clouds makes the picture jitter a bit, but doesn't really affect the FPS. And with the Oculus Rift S, as long as you can maintain 20 FPS, you're golden. You don't really notice anything. Yeah, we can see some peaks down there. You really need to fly this on a clear day. It will take you right over Gardermoen, which I believe is around 8,000 feet, Norway's highest point. It's really beautiful terrain. This even without the Ultra HD mesh that are available. So the drawbacks of virtual reality is that you cannot enjoy the good views as good as they can become with the 2D. But I did try 2D. I did fly 2D. It was stunning. It was very good for taking amazing screenshots, but nothing else, in my opinion. But then again, as long as we enjoy ourselves in any way we can, it's the most important thing. Enjoying the hobby. So our approach, we'll do an ILS approach, runway 19 right. This is here, and we can start coding in Gardermoen, which sits at, if I am not mistaken, here. Should pick it up very shortly. Let's get the airport as well while we're at it. Just in case we get ATC and they start giving us taxi directions. That is always a menace in VR because you can't take notes, and if you're in a larger airport you usually get longer directions, like Yankee hold short Delta 2, then Sierra to Papa, then Foxtrot, then go to stand 149A, something like that, and you have to repeat it, and it's all right after you have touched down. So, and if you can take notes, it can be a mess unless you have like glue memory. So do get some use though, and I expect actually Gallipigin to pop out of the clouds due to its heights, but we'll see. Can see the peaks there as well. So they're coming in on 19 right. I have some sunlight coming in. There's a slight turn to 20. Passing 26,000 feet, looking good. So runway heading, just set it up right away. And 11:30. There we go. Checked and cross-checked, and that is also correct. And our minimas are important because it will. Maybe I can do this with my hand controller and not the. I will use the VR mouse. It's much quicker. 875. Let's see if we can hit that. So I have assigned a button for the VR mouse on my yoke, simply because it's so much easier just to get it out for specific tasks like this, and then we can hide it again. Boom. 975. Oh, 875. Oh, I really need a co-pilot. Wrong way. There we go. Okay. Insufficient fuel, we'll just disregard that because we are plenty of fuel for Gardermoen. We do have some headwind, but nothing to worry about. There's 30,000 feet. Pop this down. Pressurization is also looking fine. Yeah, we're looking real good. But it can soon change if we're not careful. Let's not jinx it all. So, approach, we'll fly in Belko. And actually I will try to let VNAV. It's really tempting just to skip this part here, but I think we'll fly the approach as assigned. Just in case we have any other aircraft and they are reading our plan, so they at least know what our intentions are. We'll skip the self-vectoring and we will let VNAV initiate our descent, and then we can intervene just to avoid too much throttle work from VNAV. Basically we will be going via Belko to Golf Mike 432. And then we will begin our arch into Bavad, where we should arrive at 5,000 feet. And from Bavad, just here, we will continue into Odudi, and then straight ahead to runway 19 right for a good landing. On runway 19 right, we will exit most likely at Alpha 5. If not Alpha 4, but most likely Alpha 5, and we will go and find a stand somewhere in here. Maybe I should get the parking stands just in case. we get some controllers. There we go, and the height is correct as well, so everything is good. It's A-okay. Approaching top of climb. Just
1,000 to go.
checked. Headwind, so should be, yeah, speeds looks good, so, and 4.7. We will do a flaps 30 landing, so we just put it in there for now, but we will revisit this once we get closer to actually landing. And we'll do an auto brake 2 and right hand seat landing, because the left hand seat is empty, as always. The joy of flight simming. Okay, so let's clear ourselves to flight level 250 to prepare for our descent. Not much to see today actually, let's just take a quick look-see. So actually Gardermoen, the highest point in Norway, should be right over here, but we cannot see it, so the clouds are quite high. Now I would like the weather forecast for Gardermoen, so what we can do while VNAV takes care of our descent is take a quick look at the meta. Shut you down here. Now this here tend to, depending on if it's clear weather over the ocean, it does not eat. I could watch Netflix if I wanted to here, but when I have it set up like this, it will eat up quite a lot of frames. So let's just, we do actually have some incoming traffic. North Shuttle 46, maybe he's heading to Enal, does it say? I need to enlarge this. To Molde. I haven't actually been there. Maybe I should do a trip to Molde someday, if I can find some scenery in time. I do have some problems with some I think it's some of the very early work from GDG made some for Northern Norway for Kirkenes, and the runway curvature just it's impossible to take off. It breaks the aircraft, so, and it's a long way north, so it's a long flights and boring and not much ATC and not much traffic, so I rarely go there. But the vicinity of Trondheim and sometimes also Tromsø, which I can really recommend. It's up here, ENTC, a very beautiful approach, very beautiful flights, and also a bit challenging at times. But we'll expect to meet our company traffic heading for Molde at flight level 300, flight level 300 actually, looks like. And here goes the FPS, so we should get on with the task at hand, which is checking the weather. Here we have the weather from, let's zoom out, see if we can't get Gardermoen up. Now we do expect some rain and perhaps even some thunder at Gardermoen. So here, yeah. So we have a QNH of 1001. Let's turn that down a bit. And let's just get the full meter up. 13 knots. basically straight down the runway, so no, shouldn't be too bad. Good visibility. Clouds scattered to 6. So not really any mention of thunder or cumulonimbus, which is maybe it has passed. Let's just update it. Should be updated. Monday. It's really that late? Oh, jeez. Time flies. So yeah, looks almost peaceful. Let's just check rain and thunder. There goes the descent. So we do have thunderclouds actually on our way in here. So I would not.
Viewpoint 11 QNA 1005 Sky. Noted. Arlanda 80 Sierra. Arlanda 80 Sierra. Time 18.
Arlanda 80s. No, thank you.
Approach. Runway.
Let's do something about.
Echo November Foxtrot Golf Air.
There we go. Quiet at last. So we are descending. Let's set our auto brake to 2. Good habit. And there's our company traffic below us. He might actually be cruising along in the clouds. And let's wave to him. Hello, hello. Bye bye. Have a nice trip. Traffic inbound. He's actually going 019 left, and we're going 19 right, but it's yeah. And we will not be requiring the drag. So now we're heading toward Lillehammer, former Winter Olympics. Let's get our charts up here. Instead of playing tourists, we call checked. Landing altitude set. We are going for flap 30 and currently at 132 plus 5, that's 137. And I'm quite curious upon the weather, and also I'm quite curious if with this setting that the airport will load correctly, because I have been having issues with Gardermoen Airport only partially loading, and I guess it's because of some memory bug or I don't know. So the PAPI lights have not been showing, and has made things tricky. But we'll see. This will be a test, and hopefully it will be a good test, because I really like clouds like this. And there's the lag. Speaking of the devil, probably just loading in. I can't remember, because Norway is a tricky country. I have some ortho and some mesh, because there isn't good ortho for entire Norway, but for the mountainous areas the mesh is just fine. But it does have a lot of polygons, so I guess it does require quite a lot. So there's 130,000, so we can pop this here up, and we look to be on profile at Belgu. In 24 miles we should be at 20,000 feet, so yeah, looking good. So let's just clear ourselves to 20,000 just to have a look-see, because we can. Boom, perfect, spot on. Almost irritating that VNAV does the job so well. I don't really have to do much. So there's Gardermoen coming in nicely. And we can pop this one on here. Looks like a full moon. Actually, Nita, I heard there's a HG moon download for Xplane. Maybe I need to get that, because the moon doesn't look like that. Come on. So I need to get that. Just tend to forget it. got so many other plugins, and a better looking moon can't hurt that much, can it? And for VR, I have also reduced the brightness of the stars. So if you're new to VR, there are plugins out there you can get to reduce the brightness, because something happens to the sim in VR. It's like things get enlarged and enhanced. Some things, like the stars, it looks like 747s on approach all around you, and it's not realistic. So I have reduced the lighting of the stars, dimmed it to about 10,000 times as it would be in 2D, and a few other tweaks that is necessary. But other than that, Xplane is very well optimized for VR, I must say, and I hope that it will only get better, even though I do know that Michael at the X-Force Computer and Xplane is not a big VR fan, and he has been giving his reviews, but again, it's a taste thing. For me, I don't feel that I can sit in VR for hours. Not long ago I basically flew Europe around, spent more than 60 hours in VR, and perfectly comfortable. As long as you have a cool place to sit. I sit in my basement, so it's nice and dark and cool, same temperature all year. Perfect place to sit in VR, and yeah, it's a big enjoyment. And after a while you tend to forget that you're in VR, and don't really feel any side effects after it either. I think if you play more movement-based combat simulator, something like that, you might get some motion sickness, but you can actually get used to it. I have played some War Thunder and took some getting used to, but once I broke through that barrier, I can play it for hours as well. No motion sickness. So here's the turn. Whoop. Go. And I think it's time we seat our passengers. Still nicely on profile, so I don't really need to tamper with anything. And it's staying in idle thrust. That's the most important thing for me with the VNAV. It doesn't jump up and down. Still no significant weather inside. We are clear of most of the high terrain of Norway now. We are close to Lillehammer, approximately above it. So if I'm not mistaken, we are over Mjøsa, biggest, yeah, I think it's the biggest lake in Norway. So it's around here, and then we'll go around some peaks there. So let's just put us down to, let's say, flight level 100. That should do us fine. I must say it doesn't look too bad, the plane. Default Xplane. And I haven't seen much of the famous blinking clouds. There's a bit there, speaking of the devil, but actually for me it seems like it was more of a problem in 2D than it is in VR. I have tried the ultra weather, what's it called? The plugin, much discussed, and I did really give it a try, and I'm really supportive of people developers like Ahmed and people developing plugins, but it just didn't work for me. I kept seeing the same cloud patterns because you have to turn down the volume so much, so it became very artificial and not good looking. And also it had the final straw was an issue with the clouds not depicting on the right level compared to the active sky. So when the weather would suggest a ceiling starting at 2,000 feet, and Ultra Weather XP would depict it at 3,500, and there was no fix for it, so that's sort of a deal breaker for me. What's the point with the active sky then, if you don't get the clouds at the right level? So I uninstalled it and been trying around with X-Vision and lately the Vivid preset, which I might take in partially, some of the particles and maybe the water, and for now testing out look at those clouds, testing out default Xplane, but we'll see. I might find that the frame hit will be too big and I'll do something about it, but this is a test, so let's see. I know that Norway is one of the heavy hitters on the frames, and also I have Orbex UK, and it can be quite a challenging flying there, so I would love to fly more in the UK. Also it has a lot more ATC to offer, but it's just too jaggedy and laggedy for me, because I think the clouds takes just too much toll. So perhaps with the Vulcan, so we have grounded any of this, perhaps with Vulcan we will see that little improvement boost that I need to run it smoothly. So coming on to our approach turn here, closing on to 11, we're still nicely on profile. And then we'll stay at 11 for a while, so I will not touch anything, just keep it there. And yeah. And I notice now that as we approach the clouds, the jaggedy movement comes back. And I don't think actually look at now 4 that jumps up. I don't think that the jaggedy movement comes from necessarily the frames drop, but it's more of a rendering issue of sorts. So it's much like if you turn off or turn your OVR tool down a bit. So something I have to work out, but for now we'll just try and work with what we have. Hopefully it will sort itself out once we get below the clouds. Don't think we have any weather from Gardermoen.
Echo November Golf Mike airport information. Golf 1820 Zulu weather wind 185 at 13 visibility 10,000 sky condition 2,600 scattered 2,000 scattered temperature 16 dew point 12 QNH 1001 advise on initial contact. You have information. Golf.
Okay. Doesn't look like we have any ATC just
Echo.
yet. Okay, make ready for the first turn to 246. Coming up here. Quite a boring flight with Vina, but we'll do it for now. This is just for testing, and it's good to have it in the backhand and knowing that we are on profile at VNAV and doing fine. Especially if we have some lag spikes coming up, then it's a lifesaver. I'll just revisit our .32, it's unchanged. Landing altitude, let's just do the descent right now. Engine start, no, sorry, pressure sensing is set landing altitude 700 feet, recall is checked, auto brake set to 2. Landing data, we have VREF of 132 flaps 30. Approach briefing is completed. Look at that evening sky over Norway and those clouds. Oh, I can't wait for Vulcan, so I can have this and smooth flying. And there we have auto throttle keeping us at 220. It's perfect, no problem with that. Slightly below 11,000 feet, so it's perfect. And we'll imagine that soon enough we'll be clear to descend further to 5,000, so we'll just put it in there, lest we forget. There we go. Is it 26 and then 26. And I'm quite curious about what will happen once we enter the clouds, and also if the airport has loaded correctly. That's what I'm most curious about. And once we are on short final, I will close down this window, because then any ATC can just forget about it, because then I am too busy. Set. Yeah, we can ask the cabin crew to start cleaning up. That's 220. Then 16. And now what we'll need to do, because I do believe that we have some water in these clouds, even though we don't have it on our weather radar, and nothing close by, so we will watch the temperature and prepare for put on some engine anti-ice and wing anti-ice, because of Xplane icing up the wings in flight and crashing us. And I actually forgot to put in the descent forecast and the situational awareness rings, but we will just have to do without this time. So actually we could... Nah. Best focus just on the approach, eh? Going to 106. And then 132 after. There we go. At least we got that right. So, a little laggy, but we are in very cloudy conditions, so, and in VR, so many people in VR I know can't even handle this much cloud, so I can't really complain, can I? Starting our descent down to 5,000 and above, and we can go down to 3,000 as well for self-clearance, just to keep our workload down a bit. And look nicely on profile. We do have a potential problem here. Yeah, let's see. You are coming down also, and you're actually lower than us on approach. So what we will do is we will slow down. Just a tad bit. And we will give way to you. For the approach. So there was our curveball. Hopefully he understands what we are doing. See? Expecting 19 right, same as us. Okay, so I will give way, and hopefully our turn will give him indication that we are planning to go behind him. Hopefully don't have any serious terrain over here. Actually we do. At 26, nothing to worry about at this altitude. So we'll just increase our speed to 210. And then we'll keep Bavat for now, and then we'll direct ourselves to Udi. Keep that ready. So basically what we are doing now is that we are skipping our initial approach plan. We'll go out over this lake here and then have a long, nice, stabilized approach. It's descending further, so we can make a slight turn to 190. Approaching the ceiling, and we are at 9 degrees, so it's just only just. Set standard now. Put us slightly lower, so that's just perfectly fine. 6, 7, 100, perfect. So that would give us about 7 miles after his landing. We should be actually perfect. So we're below 10,000, so we can put on our runway lights as well. There's the clouds, and let's see the temperature, 12 degrees. We'll do fine without the anti-ice. Okay, we'll put Bavat in. Sorry, Udi. And we will execute it. And we will turn towards Udi. And there comes the clouds. Let's see what that does. Actually, I've noticed that when you're in the clouds, it helps on the FPS. It's only when you're just below or just above that it can mess a bit with it. So here we go, and we will engage LNAV again. We will make the final corrections. We will put in our runway heading. Speed intervention. And we are clear terrain rise as well, so it's looking very good. And we'll be looking for a localizer capture. It is there. And soon enough we will arm our approach. So there we have. It's not half bad, I must say, actually. Not bad at all. This, I haven't seen clouds and cloud ceilings. There comes the lag. As I am giving it credit, it has to knock itself over. So drag required. No, we don't need, but we can give it flaps 1. Have a look at our friend. He is well ahead of us, so that should be just fine. And we are well on profile. There's the runway. And I can't really make out the traffic ahead of us, but yeah, I think I can see him. And we have PAPI lights, and everything is perfect. And look at that ceiling. It's amazing, just surfing just below it. And I'm sure that it will not be as impressive when you watch it in 2D, but I can assure you that it's really, really nice in VR. So we'll arm the approach. And we will go flaps 5.
$2,500.
And in case of missed approach, we will climb to 5,244. Put that here. And we will shut you down for now and concentrate on task. There's our traffic ahead of us. Perfect. Nice evening to land on as well. And actually I have just before this flight I went outside, and the weather you see here is the weather that we have. But I do hope that it soon will fix this ring of clouds that won't load, so you can see it. But we'll have to make do. Okay. Just one last check. 131 is set. Set. So we have 136 and there's a 5-mile ring. Flap 15, gear down, big arm, clear to land, lights on. Cabin crew, please be seated for landing. Missed approach, altitude set. So landing checklist. If we can see it. Engine start switches are continuous, speed brake is armed, landing gear down, green light, flaps 15, holding on the landing flap. Landing checklist completed. And we'll just wait a wee bit before we disconnect. Okay, flaps 30 just slow us down a little bit to accommodate for the traffic ahead. And put her down to 36. He is still on the runway, but he will vacate in due time. It'll be just like a normal day. And a little bit of lag, but we can live with that. Looks really nice right now, actually. Only thing that ruins the immersion is that stupid ring of clouds.
1,000 feet, stabilized, Mr. Perch, altitude
okay,
set.
so I will disconnect. Recycle the flight directives, and we are manual.
Approaching 19 right.
Slow. Flight slow.
You see, just that messing around with correcting Just that messing around with the buttons and recycling really can... I need to find some sort of fix for that.
500.
We're a bit low, but that's fine. We do need to take out some speed.
400.
Flight slow.
Yeah, I know.
Flight slow.
I know.
Flight slow.
300.
Flight slow.
Approaching minimums.
Flight slow. Flight slow.
We have a little bit of wind here,
Flight
actually.
slow.
200.
Flight slow. Flight slow.
Minimums.
Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight
100.
slow.
Okay. No lag now, please. Really long landing, but we'll manage.
50. 40. 30.
Check.
20.
Close. Long float.
Long landing. Long landing. 9,000 feet remaining.
Go on. Damn lag. Reverses. Manual braking. Cancel reverse, and we'll take this exit here. Bit laggy landing, but not too bad. I have seen worse and really lagging now for some reason. Let's clean her up. Put on the logo. And we can turn off the radar as well. And go to... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gardermoen Airport. Thank you for flying with Norwegian Airshuttle, and we will now shortly be finding ourselves a nice place to park right next to the tax-free store. Oh, so you can't go into the tax-free store due to this being a domestic flight. We are sorry. We will, however, give you a complimentary ice cream on the way out. Virtual one. So let's take this exit here. And let's fire out the APU. And I might be wrong, but actually I believe that most of the domestic flights go to this terminal here. So it couldn't be more perfect. So all that is left for us to do is to make a perfect parking. And as you know, that is the most important thing about flight simming, the parking. Can you get the wheels perfectly on the line? That we will remain to see. So we are somewhere around here. Let's take number 22. Just to pick something. Wonder where that other traffic went. Maybe it was a cargo flight. Maybe locked off. Okay. So trick now is to find. I can't see the number. Is that 20? What does it say? 22 is over here. So I think most people just park at 20. It's very popular because it's just straight in. But we'll make it harder for ourselves with lag and everything. Here we go. So we did have some lag spikes, and I do believe that if I had gone to the no, damn it, 18. Well, 18 will do. If I go to the UK or something like that, I would get absolutely killed with the lag. Well, let's see, it's not too bad, I think. A little bit more. Here we go. Set the parking brake. APU is on the bus and we can kill number 1. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oslo. Let's get some light on here. Cabin crew, please disarm doors and slides. So, it wasn't too bad a flight. Let's just make sure we have turned everything off and check the engine. It should pop up, but it does not. No rotation left. That is fine. Okay, so let's just for kicks get this here. I just purchased this, so I need to use it. Kinda like it. Call me a geek, but I like it. And refueling this. That's good. Okay, drive up, thank you. Then I will open the doors for you. Open, 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 open. And 51 minutes. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So we'll ask the ground crew to set the chucks, connect the GPU, and go to the GPU. And we will kill the APU and fuel pumps. Yes, sir. Looking really good. So, that was today's flight from Aalesund to Gardermoen Airport. And all that is really left to do for us is to turn out the flight leg and go outside and watch how we parked. Oh, just missed it. That's really bad. Look at that. Well, I actually went on a flight yesterday and my girlfriend was laughing at me because I was walking around judging the parking of the pilot, so and I know that it is... What the heck? You need to take luggage off, not on. Anyway, not too bad parking though. I'm satisfied with... satisfied with that. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the flight as well. Was a nice flight. We have somebody taking off. Scandinavian by the looks of it. Didn't really notice him coming in. To be honest. Why is he landing? Yeah, he must be landing. What on earth is he doing? Is it rejected takeoff? Or? If not, that was a very, very long landing. Who cares? Anyway, nice flight, and in some cloudy weather, I think I might just try to do some tinkering with the density of the clouds. As much as I like them, they are a little bit, I don't know, cartoony, a little bit Simpsons, so maybe I should play around with the vivid preset again for the water and maybe a little bit for the clouds. But that's Xplane for you, always a work in progress. And with those words, I'll be signing out, and thank you for watching, and don't forget to support this channel by subscribing and liking, and feel free to sharing. And if you have some positive comments or some requests of some sort, then please write them in the comments, and we'll see what we can do. I at least enjoyed the flight and enjoyed making the video, and thank you very, very much for watching.